second.
For generations, they have been the two biggest names in terror. He may get the blood, but I get the glory. This summer, for the first time ever, two legends will come together. It's time to put this bad dog to sleep. Freddy vs. Jason. Winner kills all. Rated R.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
You will suffer an eternity for this.
Who's ready for a fight tonight? We're going back to 2003 with Freddy versus Jason, the ultimate climax of who's the worst villain around. And we have a great guest with us tonight. We have Nadia from Horror with Nads. Thank you for joining us tonight, Nadia.
Oh, thank you so much for letting me join you guys on this movie. I'm very excited to talk about this. I saw this in theaters, so I'm that old. So it should be a good time.
Well, that's how we typically start. I'm going to ask you, when was your first experience with this movie, and what are your kind of initial memories and thoughts about the movie?
I remember I remember seeing it in theaters, loving it as a teenager, but I remember the setup to it because the marketing behind it, and this is pre-social media, pre-YouTube, all this stuff was great around it. They almost treated it like a UFC fight nowadays, how it was set up. And I loved it. And as a kid, as a teenager who loves both of these franchises, that was a big deal. You would catch the little TV segments for it. So I really liked it. And in the theater itself, had a good time. Rewatching it, I definitely have nostalgia more for it than actual. It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie. Like script, it's got a lot of plot holes, but it's a fun movie, so you're able to turn your brain off and enjoy it. So.
Pretty groovy. And Kevin, what about you?
Oh, so I've followed this movie since God knows how long, but when it was finalized to how it is now, probably heard about it in either Fangoria or Wizard magazine. And then saw the promo stuff for it at Comic-Con that year.
Yep.
And then took a really cute pagan girl that I was engaged to go see it in the theater. Had a really good time. Anyway, yeah. We'll talk about that later. Had a really good time.
Yeah, I remember seeing all the commercials on Spike TV. So to your point, I remember the UFC. That's why I included the little clip at the beginning. I had to cut out Michael Buffer because they like to copy hit Michael Buffer stuff on YouTube. Or I would have done the
Really?
proper full introductions with music and everything. And they both come out in robes and hoods and everything like that. And Shunnam and Pose, and Robert Englund does his best Freddy. And it's so much fun. And then they actually go through the whole idea of a press conference. So I remember all of that. And I was day one at the theater for this because at the time, I'm pretty sure I didn't have a girlfriend when this movie came out. So I saw this day one, midnight screening, had a blast with everybody. The whole theater had a great time. I wouldn't say it was the most ruckus crowd, but everybody seemed to enjoy themselves. Until the very end of the movie with the ending itself. The very last shot, Freddy winking at the camera, is what made everybody go, oh.
So no chicken jockey ruckus.
No chicken jockey. There was a lot of groaning about well, you could have had an ending of some sort. And they could have done something original, but they chose not to. But it's probably the best way it could have ended. Who really won? Who really lost? They're both back in hell. Who knows? But it's a good movie. Well, not going to say it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It is definitely the definition of a popcorn flick. And I think we can get rolling on into it. Kevin, let's talk about the good of Freddy versus Jason.
All right. The good is we get to see Freddy versus Jason. This is not just a clever title. this is something that had been culminating for what, 10 years at this point? Since
10 to 12, 15 years, because scripts have been, there's more than a dozen scripts they've
15
had.
plus different scripts. Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, going from
And I've read about 7 of them.
the Fred heads
Wow.
or whatever the cult was called, and yeah, all sorts of fun. Actually, no, none of it was fun. Like if you listen to all the different versions of the scripts on the special features, like, they all sucked.
But they borrowed enough
Like,
from
none
all
of
of
them
the
were
scripts to make
good.
this movie.
Like you listen to them, like yeah, and choices were made, and they took all the best that they could and strained it into some sort of fruit. But yeah, anyway,
Wasn't there a version, or was it the sequel? Because I know in comics it exists. They were going to add Ash into it,
yes,
like do a 3-way sequel where it's Jason versus Freddy versus Ash, or in some form if they were going to move
yes,
forward.
and it was amazingly good. The only downside to it is most people don't like to promote it being so, because Bruce Campbell didn't get paid for it.
Yep.
And so that's the one thing that he will not sign for people at a convention.
I
Is
can
those
confirm
comics,
that.
yeah.
Yep. And I get that, and it's awful, but oh man, do I get it. But it is a super good story. It's way better than this movie, so much better. Like it bridges Jason Goes to Hell to this, and then into that next script, and you're just kind of like, oh man, that does all make sense. These guys actually did their fucking homework, except for paying Bruce.
Of course.
That sucks. The amount of money they would have gotten if they had those, like if he was on it promoting it and then maybe make a movie out of it. The amount of money these, just a cult classic, especially with the Evil Dead adding to it. I don't know why studios don't like to make money.
That's an excellent question, because we almost got a Phantasm 5 with Bruce Campbell on a Roger Avery script, Phantasm 1999, right after he won an Oscar. And it never happened because it was too much money for a Phantasm sequel.
Wow.
And Bruce was signed on for a long time, but he ended up doing Bubba Hotep instead. So
Good
Yeah,
choice.
that's pretty good. Yeah.
I like Bubba Hotep. He would have been a good balance for the three of these guys. And then a lot of people will scream, well, what about Michael Myers? Well, what about this? At that point, you're diluting it. So you don't want to get too crazy, because then it starts
This
turning
is
into...
not the Avengers.
Yeah, this is not the
Horror,
Avengers
okay.
or the Pooniverse or whatever that is that's going on right now. So
Well, really,
Oh,
what is what the
Pooverse?
the Pooh
yeah, Winnie the Pooh, Blood Honey, Piglet, Bambi the Reckoning.
Yeah, I've seen
Oh
them.
my god.
I still need to, because I've got to see Bambi. Like, it just looks too cool. I want to see it.
Have
so
you seen
bad.
the Peter Pan one? Never. I hear it's pretty good. That's the only one I haven't seen yet.
I haven't seen that one either. That's actually going to be soon for me.
And I heard that one's pretty dark comparatively to the other ones.
We saw the trailer for it, didn't we, dude?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. I was going to say that one kind of made us go, ooh, oh, like that's grim.
The rumor is he's the big bad of the whole universe, and everybody got to team up to take him out, but that could easily change. So
That's a red herring. I bet you $1.
yeah, but you know, I like talking about like Ash versus Evil Dead any chance I get, and I like the fact that they included like Freddy's Claw in that again. So there's a nice symbiotic relationship between the franchises that keep popping up from here and there. So I like it.
And again, it was something that would have been easily done if the studios would have just put forth the effort. If any of those executives would have been a fan of any of the franchises, it would have been awesome. But it's been God knows how many years since somebody at Warner Brothers was like really interested in making movies.
Or even now to this day, like Friday the 13th rights and whatever's going on with that. Then you got the Wes Craven estate with the Nightmare on Elm Street series. That seems to maybe have been alleviated as we get more into the 4Ks and the 4K set for Nightmare on Elm Street that's going to be coming out at some point. That is confirmed that they are working on. So, and it's not Scream Factory. They certainly tried. So something's going on with Nightmare.
Do you guys think, have you guys seen the trailer for the Black Phone 2?
Yes.
Yes.
So my theory is that is actually a new Nightmare on Elm Street script that they probably flipped for Black Phone 2 because it emulates like Freddy too much to me. It comes off Nightmare on Elm Street because
Does
it's
feel that
about
way.
him, yeah, attacking these kids in their dreams. So I feel like with all the legal issues with Nightmare on Elm Street and getting a new one and stuff, they're like, we have this script, it's not too bad. Let's make it. Let's use it for Black Phone 2. That's my theory on it.
I like that.
Not a bad idea. Because Kevin seemed to actually get a kick out of the trailer more than I thought he would. And I'm thinking, well, we should probably get you to watch the first one then. Because more Ethan Hawke movies in general anyway.
Oh yeah, Sinister's great. I love him in Sinister. Black Phone 1 is good as a true crime type of horror movie. I don't think is as scary as it was marketed to be.
Bingo.
But I think that's what they're doing with the second one is that the most critique I've seen it is like it's a good movie, but it's kind of anticlimactic a little bit. It's not as scary. So I think that's why they're going with the reverse with it, hopefully with the reverse with the second one.
Yeah.
I hope so. Like I want to like it. I love new scary franchises. I just don't get into most of the new ones.
Yeah. We've been trying with Kevin.
Similar with like Megan 1, they tried to kind of take it seriously. A lot of people found it more funny than anything. I even saw the unrated version. I was like, this is nothing. So now they're leaning into kind of like the Chucky franchise where they're doing more of a comedy horror kind of elements to it, lean into more of the comedy part because they realize that's where the fandom is. But sorry, I didn't mean to derail about new movies when we're talking about this one.
Well, it actually it comes back to this movie and what they were trying to attempt to do with this one. They're still trying to do a horror comedy with this movie, and it feels neither like a nightmare movie and neither like a true Friday the 13th movie. It just feels kind of like a mishmash.
Quite a bit of fan service that's narrated by Freddy.
Yeah.
Is really the best way I could think of describing it.
Jason has the most body count in it too.
Yep. Which should be.
Yeah. I accepted it. Like, you know, he took out that entire party within seconds and it was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is definitely more for the fans. Mm-hmm. Definitely you don't have I don't think you have to watch either of the franchise to enjoy this movie, but unless you're looking for the Easter eggs throughout it. Like if you have a pop culture concept of what Jason is and Freddy is through pop culture references, as some people do, such as my husband never saw Scream, but he understood what the story was and what it is, right? Because it's so heavily pop culture reference in pop culture. Similar with these two, they're so heavily referenced that at least if you have a concept of each of the characters, you can go in and enjoy this movie. Now, if you've seen each of the franchises, that's where the fun is for those fans, where they have the little Easter eggs and the nods to throughout.
Yeah, like the Hypnosil and God, what was the name of the asylum? Something or other.
West Hill or something like that.
Weston Hills.
No.
So.
It's something. Yeah.
The place from part 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
love part 3.
I like Nadia's point. Like, you don't really need to be familiar with the franchises. You just need to be familiar with the main characters. And they've both been around long enough to approach interest. And it was toned down enough to bring in possibly a new audience. I think this is actually, I'd have to look up the box office again, but I think this actually is one of the better box office movies for both franchises. It actually made a lot of money, and it had the influence of Ronnie Ewan there from Bride of Chucky, and he brought that sort of sense of humor and violence to it. And we still got plenty of blood, nice body count, we got boobs, we got a little swearing, so it still felt enough like a horror movie. Just it felt like we were trying to bridge to the mainstream a little bit more.
Bride of Chucky, is that how he got Jason Ritter in this last second?
Probably.
Oh, interesting. God, what's the guy's name? The guy from Apt Pupil. he was supposed to be the main male
McAvoy?
character. Yes. No. Not McAvoy. God damn, I can't think of his name.
I'll look it up.
Anyway, yeah, he passed away just before filming started, and so yeah, that just didn't work out.
Oh,
And-
Brad Renfro. I remember
Yes.
that name now
Yeah.
from this movie. Yep.
By the way, with the Dream Warriors callback, they also used the drug, the suppressant drug in it, the
Hypnosil?
Hypnosil. Yeah.
Yep. Nancy's
Yeah,
old
think of it.
prescription.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Callbacks are
I
pretty
think
good.
this did so well in the box office because of the marketing leading up to it. And it's definitely directed towards teens, young adults. This movie.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, I know there at the time there probably were people who were older who grew up with the franchises from the beginning, but the way they marketed it is this is definitely like teens. You don't have really any place to go on a Friday night. You go see this. Midnight releases were a big thing back then, as you both know. Nothing compared to today. The assigned seating and ads and stuff. You actually like went to these movies sometimes dressed up. You stood in line for hours just to get good seats and stuff. Man, those were the days. Kids have it too easy nowadays.
No kidding. I remember going to a Halloween movie and I brought out my like 20 years later mask and I'm like, man, I need a real mask.
Real mask. Whatever.
I ended up getting a part 6 mask. I felt a little bit better after that.
Yeah, that was a good one. I prefer part 4, but 6 is pretty good too.
Yeah.
So when
I'm
you
more
get
of
to
a
that
Michael Myers gal versus Jason, but
Yeah.
mostly because Halloween was bigger in me growing up with. My mom was really big into horror movies, and that's more her cup of tea versus Jason. I discovered Jason on my own more so as like a teen because I worked at a movie store, like a video renting store. You can rent these, some of them go straight to VHS and grab them. And then
Right.
Nightmare on Elm Street as well.
Yeah, I was more Halloween. Friday the 13th, I got into more in college, and then I circled back around to more Halloween. And then from that point forward, I was like, oh, I guess I'm a horror fan because I was in some film study classes and they made us watch like the original Psycho, and then they played the original Halloween. And it's like, you know what? I kind of want to watch these movies. Then I just jumped headlong back into both franchises because before that, I was like, all I like is Alien and Phantasm. I'm good with that. I don't like any of these other movies. Can't get me away from slasher movies now. I got way too many in this house. My wife would be happy if I got rid of some of them. She won't watch.
You go first.
What'd you guys think of the actual fight between Freddy and Jason? Were you at least satisfied to a point or disappointed? I mean, we kind of went through basically like 5 rounds of a fight with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, they had to in order to make it even.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you had to see them fight in the dream world because that's where Freddy's going to have the upper hand, and you're going to get to see what he gets to do. And then, of course, you've got to make Freddy mortal and bring him into the real world so you can see what Jason can do. And that's when the shit really gets real and explosive and fun. I enjoyed that more so than the dream realm because the dream realm, like they kind of half-assed it.
yeah.
Shitty special effects and the water being his phobia.
I was saving that for the bad.
Well, all right, then we'll skip that because I know your opinion on that. So I'll just skip that for now and I'll let you get to it later.
I enjoyed it. I mean, as a kid, seeing it in theaters on the big screen, everybody's rooting for their favorite, right? At the time, my favorite was Freddy Krueger, so I was rooting for him. I think the ending, I know a lot of people are divisive on the ending. I actually like the ending because I think it fits the characters. Like, I think it fits Freddy to be able to come back and then wink at the camera. Like, I would have loved to see a sequel to this. I would have loved to see something done to continue, even if they did it into like a TV series too, as well, or some form. But I liked each of the fights. I think they have their good, their bad to it, but I'm entertained throughout this whole entire movie. Even rewatching it as an adult, I was worried that it wasn't going to keep my attention. I completely was immersed into it because of how cheesy and fun it was, even with the fights.
Yeah, I haven't even rewatched this movie in probably 8 years. And there was actually quite a bit I forgot because this isn't one I typically do on a rewatch, but I got the box set a few years ago from Scream Factory and I watched it then and I haven't watched it since. But watching it again like last night because I was a dope and I got busy over the weekend and wanted to watch it then. But watching it last night, I'm like, wow, this is actually a lot of fun. And I didn't hate the ending as much as I used to, I want to say. And I wouldn't say I hated it. I always felt like, well, you're clearly setting it up for a sequel, like you're talking about. Like, clearly feels like there's more meat on the bone. And we are definitely heading towards an Ash inclusion, which never happened. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? As a standalone movie, I was pretty satisfied with the movie. Nitpicking aside for anything I didn't like, but the fights, I didn't really have a problem with them. I actually liked the hydrogen tanks or whatever those were, the propane tanks being knocked into at Jason and the craziness that ensued at Crystal Lake. I'm like, once we got to Crystal Lake, it's like all bets are off with fights. And we even got the nice little memory sequence of Freddy being like, I'm banging this girl who's gonna allow you to die, boy. It's like, oh, you're dipping into a thought from another script where Freddy was a camp counselor at Crystal Lake once upon a time, and he happened to be there when Jason drowned.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that was one of the scripts
Yep.
for it. I also think that this is a good introduction movie for young adults into the monster slasher franchise. Again, I don't think as long as they have like a pop culture reference or watch something like this and then go back and watch each of the franchises, the good and the bad from each of those franchises. But yeah, this is a great introduction to monster slashers.
Yes, that's a really good way of looking at it, actually.
Of all of them, this is the best. Yeah,
it's got all the freshest elements from each of the franchises in general, and they really put out the best of the. I don't want to say best of the product or best of material, but they definitely showed the best aspects and the best angles and the best characteristics of these two characters. Freddy's narration, Freddy's ability to break the fourth wall, Freddy's joking, the fact that he's much more sinister, and then of course Jason being this fucking fueled tank engine. Like, they did him really well for not having a personality or character.
Oh yeah, and Jason, they did make him a bit more sympathetic. We never really got this showdown with like Ken Hodder, who was just more of a mad pit bull style Jason rather than anything. And so how they portrayed Jason was a little bit different with Ken, but he was still a pretty good Jason for this movie. It's just not the showdown I think everybody wanted. But I think overall, it was probably the smart play to try and keep both franchises going and make this as good as possible.
Do you think they sympathize with Jason because he doesn't have a speaking role? So thus give Freddy all the one-liners and in a sense be the bully because he can speak. Thus you need one of them to be in a sense the underdog between the two of them.
I think
giving
so.
that to Jason because he didn't have a speaking role.
Right. That, and then they break it down, like they give you the origin story for Jason. Like, he's a kid who drowned as a kid. He was deformed. When they reverted him in the dream sequence, Freddy's like, "Oh, you're just a sad little ugly boy. I'm gonna poke my finger in your head and see what's really going on in there." And then Freddy just sinks his teeth into it. And I think Robert Englund like really carried those sequences forward because, like Kevin said, the dream sequence was a bit on the lame side, and I think there was more that we could have done with that, like really getting inside Jason's head on things that he's done through the years and how he's viewed things. So, but they did make him on the sympathetic side because they broke it down to he was a decent kid until he was nearly killed or drowned, and then he became a monster from that. Freddy, just evil from the word go.
And I think this is England's last full appearance as Freddy Krueger, other than giving his voice to Mortal Kombat. I think one of the Mortal Kombat games.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Did he?
Was New Nightmare
Yeah.
after this, or was that before this?
I think New Nightmare was before this.
Yeah, New Nightmare was a 90s movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's say 94, 95? No, 93 maybe. No.
Yeah. It's
early.
before this. Yeah, because this is 2003, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So so this is the last appearance fully as Freddy Krueger, other than like lending his voice to it. I know I read a fact there, like, including the Stranger Things cameo, but he's not Freddy Krueger in Stranger Things. So
Correct.
that doesn't make sense to add that as a trivia.
He channels a little bit of Freddy with his
He
eyes
does.
plot out and everything.
Yeah.
That's just like saying he's reprising his Freddy Krueger role in Bones. Like, it's
Yeah.
very much... He's just a janitor in that. That's all.
I also read a fun fact that the alternate ending, I wrote this down, they had planned alternate endings because we were talking about the ending earlier, included Pinhead from Hellraiser to appear to break up the fight.
Oh, yes. I think I remember that.
Yeah,
that would have been weird. That would have been weird. I don't think I would have liked
hell.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, the fight was continuing in hell, and he interrupted them saying, "What's this all about?"
Maybe that could have worked.
That's how it was supposed to have ended.
That would have been interesting, but that would have been like, whoa, that's a completely different kind of movie.
Yeah, that would have fucking floored everybody, I think. That would have been fun just for the fact that it would have floored everybody.
It would have been more for horror fans rather than a mainstream audience. A mainstream audience would have been like, who the hell is that?
What just happened? Where's my $20?
I like the Hellraiser movies, so what do I know? Part 4 is what got me into the Hellraiser franchise, and everybody hates Bloodline, but I can't because it got me into Hellraiser.
I love Part 4. Fuck people.
Well, they
tell them to go watch Part 5.
And any of the sequels after that. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
I would.
You know, there's some horror. I love all horror. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of the slop. I mean, Leprechaun 3 is one of my favorite movies, okay, when he goes to Vegas. All right.
Yeah, Leprechaun in the Hood for me, baby.
Yeah. Because these are the movies I grew up with, right? These are the ones you rent on Friday, have sleepovers with, and you know, you trade around your VHSs with your friends and stuff. Man, again, my statement is kids have it too easy nowadays. They don't understand. As fans, we've had to go through those rides of like a good movie and then not a good movie and then back and forth of it. So,
oh yeah, like I remember when Stepfather 3 came out, we were like, well, okay.
I remember when Dr. Giggles came out, and I thought I was the only one who liked that movie because everybody thought it was trash otherwise. And I'm like,
I just got the Blu-ray. I still haven't watched it.
Dr. Giggles is dope, dude. Larry Drake, man.
You cannot go wrong.
Hell no. Now, is there anything else either of you like about Freddy versus Jason?
Yeah. If I could say just for a moment. Catherine Isabel was awesome in this movie.
You still my beating heart.
And this kill was dope.
Yeah.
She should have been, because she was the only person in this movie with any ounce of fucking acting ability whatsoever. But
Jason eventually gets there.
Jason gets there.
Jason
cries. Oh, yeah. I do like him.
Yeah.
But yeah, this kill here was just pretty special. I liked it.
Yeah.
It was the reverse Kevin Bacon.
I do like that this movie wasn't as PC friendly as movies are nowadays. Dropping certain words and stuff. I was very surprised remembering it.
I was like, I don't remember all the swearing. It's like,
I don't remember the swearing. I don't remember basically calling Freddy a
bundle of sticks.
A bundle of sticks, yeah.
Yeah.
But I forgot about that. I'm like,
wow.
Oh bitch, you dead.
Yeah.
And Freddy just going, behind you.
The CGI effects of it is very cheesy in it. As somebody, because I used to work in Hollywood as a special effects artist for movies, like I worked on horror movies, and I love when practical effects is prominent, and it is in this, but there are the cheesy CGIs in some of the scenes, and I'm just like, okay, let's move on. They don't age very well. Let's move on, guys.
The pinball machine. Bing, 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 bing. With Jason.
Yeah.
That was really bad. Really bad. It made sense for Freddy, but it was really bad.
Yeah.
Could have been worse. He could have done a Nintendo and been like, "This game sucks," as a reference to Friday the 13th NES game.
Oh, it's gonna be Friday the
I have the
13th this
NECA
Friday
figure back
too.
here. What's
We've
that?
got a Friday the 13th this Friday.
Yes, we do.
Very cool.
I'm probably gonna watch the missing movies that we haven't covered, but but Jason X, I'm absolutely gonna watch on Friday. So
My husband has never seen any of the Jason movies, so maybe this would be a good time to introduce him to one of them this Friday.
Yeah.
He didn't grow up with horror. He's not a horror guy. He likes Army of Dark. Closest thing to horror is Army of Darkness for him.
Start him with this then.
yeah,
Mhm.
This would be the closest to Army of Darkness, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, I would say so too. Now, the closest otherwise would probably be Part 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
But then
Six-
you're like, well, then you have to catch Part 4 and 5 to understand what's happening in 6. So it's like maybe this one.
I think I probably would
No,
do
you
the
don't.
first Friday the 13th movie, maybe the second one, where we actually have Jason throughout
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
Or to be honest, and I hate to say this, the remake, because I have
like
nostalgia.
the remake.
I like the remake too, but I have nostalgia for the original one, and I don't think people who don't grow up with these movies, I don't think it would be able to keep the attention span.
That's true.
As well, like it's not updated enough.
Who
Hi.
you got there, Nadia?
This is Coco.
Oh,
Hello.
somebody finally ran in on this stream. I closed the door for our room, so none of my 5 cats run in here, or or my dog.
Don't fall.
I was going to say either one of our dogs would take the sets down.
Yeah.
I have 2 dogs. One is sleeping over there. That's mine. I don't know where our other one is, but this one just turned 18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
She's an attention hog.
That's okay. Good death scenes in this movie, though.
Yes. Actually, fun death scenes. Like death scenes you root for. I like the fact that, to be honest, I don't care for any of the kids. I really don't.
No.
Even the lead, I just don't care for her. I don't care for any of them. So I love it because it balances with the fact that you're rooting for Freddy and Jason to not only against each other, but to kill these kids, like to go through in these cool death scenes and such. I think everybody is unlikable, and Kelly Rowland's death scene, cherry on top.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah,
Behind you, whack, right in the eye.
so good.
She was her own
Pincushion.
sleeping bag scene without the sleeping bag.
Yeah, right into the tree.
This was the time where they were putting in like not actors, but well-known pop culture figures, like people from music industry and stuff, and putting it in to draw more like cross the audience with it. So like people who are fans of Destiny Child are gonna go see this because they're gonna go see it for her. They did it with also like the 2 leads for Supernatural. One was in the remake of My Bloody Valentine. The other one was in the remake of Friday the 13th. So they're trying to cross those audiences a lot during this time period.
Well, and I love
the
the Easter eggs they threw in Supernatural for both of them after they did those 2 movies too.
Yeah.
The worst was the fog when they brought in Tom Welling, and you're just kind of like that.
That does not work for me, brother.
It didn't help.
Well, to your point, this does have a fantastic soundtrack. So it's like got Kill Switch engaged and some Slipknot in it. So it worked for me. Kevin's just like,
Sorry, to me, I didn't recognize anybody except for Slipknot, and like I didn't enjoy any of it. But I haven't listened to the whole album. I don't know. I can't really judge.
I have that one up here. That might be one that's in storage at my dad's still since we moved here. Yeah, probably. I'm going back out in August for a couple weeks, so maybe I can find it then.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
When this movie came out, I think I got a poster. I have the soundtrack. I showed it earlier. I still have my original VHS tape from
Ooh,
years
That's
ago.
dope.
I haven't played it in a while, so I hope it should be fine. My DVD's floating around. I think I gave that to somebody to watch recently, so maybe I'll get that back soon. But I don't know. I like the movie. That being said, the last thing I would even say is a lot of cool, iconic scenes happened in this movie. Jason being on fire going through a cornfield was not on my bingo card, but it's the one thing I remember forever about this movie.
the flaming machete flying was pretty cool. That's what should have been in
Oh, that was
3D.
pretty cool.
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
there you go.
They should have done this in 3D. I don't know why they didn't. It's just if rewatching it, there's certain things like when there's things thrown at the screen and stuff. I'm like, this should have been in 3D if it wasn't. And I
Well,
had to
this
look it
is-
up just to remind myself.
This
Goes
was
to Hell
just
should have had some
before.
too.
Yeah, that ending would have been fun. The
Mhm.
beginning would have been fun.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress. I just lost myself. Oh, yeah.
You found yourself again, Kevin?
Briefly.
Time to lay off the sauce. All right. Maybe this is a good time to shift on over to the bad, Kevin.
There's no bad in this movie.
Yeah, there is.
I love this. I just reposted this scene on Twitter today because I think it came up as the anniversary of this movie recently.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure.
22 years?
God damn.
Yeah. Somebody tweeted this. What happened in 2003, and somebody retweeted this photo saying this epic showdown.
Kelly Rowland versus Freddy Krueger.
So the bad for me is the cast, the supporting cast, the main characters, the supposed main characters were awful. Absolutely awful. Not just the characters themselves, but the actors portraying the characters were absolutely fucking awful. How are they still working? I don't know, but it was all really bad, and I wanted it to end last night.
I
And I
can agree
smoked
with
some
you.
really good weed too.
Of course you did.
So did when I watched it.
I was drinking water so I
100%
could
agree
remember
with you.
everything.
But you
100%
know what?
agree with you, and I think it's the director though, and I hate to
Yes.
say because if you watch Bride of the Chucky again, don't really give a shit about the human actors. More so, want to see what Chucky's going to do to kill them, and the whole thing
Right.
between him and the bride and stuff. So I honestly think it's just poor casting choicing and just more focus on Freddy versus Jason instead of involving these characters, or at least having a way for people to connect with them. I don't connect with any of them. I was happy to see all of them just go.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
I want to say Bride of Chucky is the only Ronnie Yu movie that I really liked. So like the fact that he had that one great movie was surprising because like the rest of it is all just so bland and like this. I never did like this. I enjoy this to a point, but I never did like this. I didn't like the way that it was hyped up to have a clear-cut winner at the end. And I love how he used to use that word. There's a clear-cut winner. You're gonna know. No, it was pretty ambiguous, motherfucker. Like, come on now.
That's marketing 101 though, to get people to go in to see it.
Yeah.
I know. And they didn't have to fucking market me. I was a mark. I was gonna go see that shit one way or the other. I was their demographic. I am their demographic. Shit.
That's the problem with versus movies in general. You know, hey, you try and indicate, oh, there's going to be a clear winner of this and clear winner of that. Goes to like Marvel Civil War or Captain America Civil War. Nobody really won. Nobody really lost. It's like, you
The
kind
only
of have
ones
to
I
come to
haven't-
expect it these days, though.
The only ones I have not seen is Alien versus Predator. I haven't seen neither of those. I've seen.
Get me started
so-
on that. Oh.
Listen, I just saw Alien for the first time last year. So And then I watched the entire franchise of Alien, watched the entire Predator franchise, the good and the bad. There's quite a bit of bad.
Yep.
Because I was like, I need to get in their mind to understand what's
Right.
going on. I just haven't pulled the trigger on AVP. Maybe when I get some really good weed, like just sit down and watch it.
You almost need it for the first one. The second one is more centered in a normal suburban forest area.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
it's
the
a
second
little
one
bit
you
better?
can see anything? Because that's the one thing
Yeah.
that people keep constantly telling me, that it's
The
one of them
Requiem
that
one,
you
yeah.
just cannot see anything in it.
Yep, that's Requiem. That's part of the problem with that movie. It's like, can't see shit.
Oh, because it was all in the sewer.
Yeah. And the cover of night, trying to hide all the defects.
Light your
And
nights,
CGI.
folks. Learn to light your nights.
The first AVP is not a good movie. Much like this, I'd say it's a better written movie than this. It's not
A
as
little
much
bit.
fun, but it is better written. At least
Characters are a little bit better too.
yeah,
Okay.
and the actors are better. For not having like huge parts, like AVP's pretty well acted and well casted. This, they just got pretty people to fill the roles and say the lines, and really that's what it is. Like I don't think they did that many takes. They just cut, fine, perfect, print. Should we do another one? No.
Yeah, you could tell the money and the technique probably utilized when it's just Freddy versus Jason in the scene, but everybody that is in a sense a side character, I don't even look at them as leads, is just kind of thrown together. Story doesn't make sense. Characters don't make sense. The relationships don't make sense. So I don't know if it was on purpose so that the attention would be more so on Freddy versus Jason and the rooting would be with them versus the teens, right? Because like I cannot see in any form of way how anybody would sympathize with any of these characters in this situation.
Yeah, like I wanted all of them to die, like you said, and
Yep.
horribly. And I think the only one that really died horribly enough was the pothead with the caterpillar that went down his throat. That was fun.
Oh yeah, the pill dropper.
Yeah.
Yep. Don't do drugs, kid. That was their message. Don't do drugs.
That should have been something from Freddy. Don't do drugs. Yeah,
What?
I don't. Cast is pretty lame. I don't know. Monica as Laurie just didn't really work for me. I would have made Catherine Isabel the lead. She could clearly handle it from Ginger Snaps, and she's a fantastic actress to begin with. So,
In her defense, she had a great kill in this.
yep.
Although she was kind of collateral damage. It was the candy kid that was the victim.
Yeah. God, yeah, because he was trying to assault her, so to speak, and Jason took care of both problems at the same time.
Yeah, but that javelin throw was dope. That kid flew.
Yeah, weak script on this. There's plot holes all over the place. We go from one scene to the next with how we go from point A to point D. Will, Jason Ritter's character, watches his best friend die. Freddy's back. And in the next scene, he's just chilling at a table at some other dude's house, just trying to talk about everything that's going on while Laurie's asleep on the couch getting haunted by Freddy already. It's like, wait, I had to rewind that to be like, wait, did I just miss something? No, we just jumped from a terrifying I saw my best friend die scene to, yeah, so we got to figure out how to deal with Freddy. It's like, wait, are we in a group session therapy going on here? What's going on here? And then the idiot sheriff deputy shows up like, yeah, your Scooby-Doo van is hiding out in plain sight. That's how I knew where you guys were.
What? Did you guys find it weird, the jump from the asylum to having the two escape the asylum to reunite with their friends? And it just, I don't know, it just didn't make sense with me with the storyline.
In the high school.
Yeah.
Oh, and I love
like
the fucking
cops aren't looking for
urgency.
these kids. Nobody's looking for these. Nobody's
Like
looking for these
immediately?
or sees them and just calls somebody. Like nobody. It just doesn't make sense.
The doctor doesn't have the school on prep. Nothing like that.
Like these
But I
are
love-
former students of this school.
Yeah,
I would
with,
start
with
there.
they would have been known within the last year or so. You would have thought. I don't know, but I just love the urgency. Dude, come on! It's the principal. Fuck him. What does
What's
he have
he
a
gonna
gun?
Yeah.
He has no fucking authority over us. We're not students here anymore.
You might go to detention anyway.
Kick him in the balls.
Yeah. Well, and then like Will and Lori's relationship, like, okay, so you're the ex-boyfriend who disappeared for 6 months. Never sent your letters from the asylum. Okay, and you guys have like no chemistry together. I don't buy you two
Yeah.
are ever a couple of any sort. They go through the motions like they were, but there's like zero chemistry with anybody in this cast, period.
How like high
Yeah.
school.
Well, even I've seen better groups of teenagers in horror movies that have better chemistry together than this group. It
Yeah.
doesn't, and also, by the way, some of them don't look old enough to just be teenagers. Like they look
Right.
too old to be teenagers. Like this should have been maybe first year of college,
Right.
maybe age range or second year. But I mean, even look at Kelly Rowland here. I'm just like, they don't look high school age. They all look like they're in their mid-20s.
I was
This
gonna
doesn't
say,
make
she looks
sense.
like she's 24 and she's just had a couple beers, and she's like, "Who the
Yeah.
hell are you in that stupid, ugly sweater of yours? You bundle of sticks."
Wait, who are we calling a bundle of sticks? Because frankly, none of them were ugly.
Freddy.
Freddie, though, was,
bundle. But
yeah.
sorry, I forgot my racism.
Although
Yeah,
they all were a bunch of Twiggies running around like, well, when you die, you're gonna go flying.
By the way, she improved that line, calling him that insult. It was like a bit of a pushback on it.
Ah,
Yeah. But
I'm
I
sup-
mean,
I'm surprised because Ronnie Yu was kind of a d-bag on the set. So the fact that he would have pushed back on that,
yeah.
I'm surprised he's not been like, "Oh, that's a good line. Put it in there.
yeah.
Say it again.
But add more anger to it. And
Get a hard
cockiness.
F."
And then got. What else didn't you guys like? Kevin, you got anything else?
Oh, let's see. There was the fact that Freddy didn't win. I don't think there was enough Freddy for me in this. The fact, like Nadia said, that Freddy didn't have a very high kill count in this. I think that probably would have been a big
One
issue
person.
for me.
One
Yeah.
person.
And that
One
was
kill.
the stoner dude.
Yep.
1 kill versus Jason's 20 kills.
Dang. Yeah,
He got done dirty.
I didn't
Mhm.
care for that so much. I didn't care that he like all the exposition relied on him. It worked.
And
I
it wasn't
mean,
the stoner dude, by the way. It was Heather, the opening.
Oh,
really.
Yep. Because Freddy used Jason for a lot of them.
Yep.
The stoner dude was possessed by Freddy but killed by Jason.
oh, that's right. Because he got literally sliced in
Oh,
half in the
That's
hallway.
right.
Yep.
That's right. That was cool though. I got this, bitch.
And Ritter looks at him like, "What the hell?" But I'm gonna run away anyway.
He sounded really confident, so fuck it.
I like that idea. Like, oh, we're just gonna dope up like Jason with like 1,000 cc's of like some tranquilizer, and we're gonna keep him down for like 5-hour trip to Crystal Lake.
Here's 2 gallons of ketamine. Have fun.
Also, just a correction. So Heather was killed by Freddy in the dream sequence, but
Yeah.
for the only confirmed real world kill in the movie was Mark, burned alive.
Oh,
And slashed
okay.
across the face in front of others. Yeah.
Oh.
But like
That's the
Mark's
one I was
brother's
forgetting.
flashback dream, that's a dream flashback by Freddy, but everybody else was killed by Jason.
Interesting. Now, Zach Ward, they could have done a little bit more with him. Like I don't know, like for it being him, that being his cameo, they could have put a little bit more makeup on him, made him have a little bit of the Freddy makeup on half of his face.
Mhm.
just would have looked cooler other than just having the ADR.
Yeah. Again, I think this is a weird time in horror movies during this time where CGI was starting to be a little bit more prominent in these type of movies instead of relying on practical effects. And now
Yeah.
I'm seeing the swing of it where we're swinging back to majority practical versus CGI. One of the worst things I hate is CGI blood. I fucking hate CGI.
I got a problem with
is-
that too. Walking Dead is terrible with that in season 2.
I hate it. I hate it with and to be honest, it's majority of the time it's cheaper to do practical versus having somebody go back in and render with CGI.
Right.
But I think it's become a handicap. It's making people lazy instead of just like, hey, let's figure out how we can do this on set and be creative and kind of guerrilla style this versus like, we'll just do it in post.
Yeah. No, I'd rather see it there. I like the tangible, real thing.
Yeah. And I think CGI should be used as, oh, we messed up or we need to add a little bit more to it in post
Right.
just to make it. But I think majority of the time it should start off practical effects and then move on. But yeah. That's why I think this is around the time like the early 2000s, late 90s with horror movies, especially ones directed at young adults, where CGI is starting to kind of creep in and be a little bit more prominent during them.
Yeah. God, this movie. Sometimes I don't even know what to say other than, well, it was a movie. Choices were made. It would have been, I don't know if we had the best director. I don't know if we had the best writers, that we focused on the right script. They seemed to pilfer from about 7 other scripts. But they still put it out, and Cunningham was okay with it. So this is what we got. And at least it's enjoyable. It's a fun train wreck to watch. And choices were made with the scripts. Choices were made with the cast. They largely shot in Vancouver because a lot of the older Vancouver crew actors were in this as well. And Kevin would recognize about 2 or 3 of them from First Wave, Stargate, a bunch of other Canadian science fiction TV shows at the time.
I was gonna say, you just made me lose it. God damn it! Violent Night.
Yep, Violent Night.
Marquis Krampus.
Yep.
Anyway, I love that movie. I'm sorry.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, unless we got anything else bad about the movie, we can get on over to the judgment.
Let's judge that son of a bitch.
Kevin, take us home.
You know, I really liked this when it first came out. The ending irritated me, but the rest of the movie I enjoyed. I liked Kelly Rowland at the first part or the first point. Now 20 years later, golly, I really couldn't wait for this to end. Like, I liked Freddy. I always liked Freddy. I liked Jason. I always liked Jason. They just weren't in this enough in this movie, and they were in it quite a bit, just not enough. I couldn't care less about the side characters. They were just fodder. They didn't even really need to speak, as far as I was concerned. They just needed to die well. And they all did that fairly well. I can't complain there. But otherwise, the acting in this is just so camp and so cheese that it's hard to watch. Like, you can turn it down and get just as much out of this movie, maybe even a little bit more enjoyment by just watching the great visuals, because this is a pretty movie. There are good kills. There are fun scenes of just like blood flying this way, blood flying that way. The mattress, the guy getting his feet put up by his head. That was dope as hell. But the cheesiness is, oh God, it gets stinkier the older it gets. For me.
Too strong on the cheese for you.
That's all it was. Otherwise, you know what? I still have fun watching this movie. My score would be brought down a little bit just because the horrible acting was just so distracting me this time. Like, I couldn't get past it. I couldn't wait for the violence to start towards the end.
Let the body count rise.
Kind of like, let's get the fight fucking going.
Well, at least when they get to Crystal Lake, they really do just focus on the fight for like basically the last like 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. And they ain't fucking around neither. Everything was on fire.
Yep. Fun with fire. Tried to burn the whole film down, apparently. I seem to remember there was a story about that, but I would have to go back to Crystal Lake Memories, or some documentary talked about like there was some sort of incident on set towards the end like that. And that's what ended up crimping their ending a little bit
Oh.
with the final battle. Something happened with fire. I don't remember if it was set or just one of their set pieces that got caught in the fire and burned down. But Nadia, what is your judgment of Freddy versus Jason?
I really liked this movie when it first was released. I was the prime age for it. Prime age, prime demographic for it. Rewatching it, it's slop, but I think it's a bad movie that you can enjoy with friends. This is a good movie to put on when you have friends over, just on a late night, and just like throw a pizza in the oven and then just throw this on and you can chit chat over it. You don't really have to focus to the storyline, and just enjoy the kills and such. I think other than Jason and Freddy, I think the entire cast is insufferable. I don't think they have any chemistry with it, and I must have not have it a developed brain when I first saw this movie as a teenager to really pick up on that. As an adult, and especially somebody who like critiques movies nowadays, I could see where a lot of the issues with the script of the chemistry amongst them, their storylines don't make sense. They're trying to put too much Easter eggs in there and trying to kind of mash it in to make sense instead of just like let it just be what it is and have fun and just give it room to breathe. I like the ending because I think it's cheeky. I think it fits Freddy's character. I do say that I don't like how handicapped Jason is in this movie, right? I like the more ruthless Jason, the pure evil, just like nonstop comes at you instead of feeling empathetic towards him. And I think this is one of the best Freddys we've gotten in the franchise of the series, England. His performance with it. So again, I think it's just a bad movie you can enjoy with friends, and there's nothing wrong with those movies.
Absolutely not. Now, as the quick follow-up to Kevin, would you say this is a riff-tastic movie? You think Riff Tracks or MST3K would do good with a movie like this?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, no. No.
He's our resident expert on Riff Track movies.
Is there room to riff this movie? Absolutely. But it's too comical on its own. And when you get that comedy element and the movie's kind of self-aware, and this movie is self-aware, Freddy breaks the fourth wall many times. It tends not to be as funny. It's like when you, well, that's never mind. No, it wouldn't work well. But it's not impossible. You can riff comedies, and the Mocky Horror Picture Show has probably riffed this several times.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Okay. But to Nadia's point, casually amongst friends, that might be a cool thing to do.
Yes, if wine's involved or beer, fucking A.
Or shrooms.
Or shrooms.
Whatever.
Or whatever you are into. I'm sure there's something everybody's into. For me, my judgment on this, it's a fun popcorn movie. Is it the best Friday movie? No. Best Jason, best Freddy movie? No. But to Nadia's point, this is a great performance by Robert in this. He was obviously having a blast on this. Because if he was not having a good time, he can phone it in if he wants to. And you would know right away because the glint in his eye, he's a pro, but you can always tell when he's not at full 100%. I've seen movies with him in it, and he always gives it a little oomph, but you can always feel like he's holding back because he's actually better than a lot of his movies have ever been, especially if you've seen his indie movies, so to speak.
Are you talking about Wishmaster?
Yes. Boy, Kevin kind of pegged that one on me.
No, I mean this and part 6, I think, are some of his best, just like over the top.
Is that Freddy's Dead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The one that I hated as a kid.
the one I loved as a kid. But ultimately, like, other than a couple lore breaking things that they do, the big offender is Jason's afraid of water. He's never been afraid of water ever in any of the movies. Them just coming up with that on the spot was, I know you had to think of something clever to get Jason to stop and like make him relatable to some extent, make him the underdog, so to speak. That ultimately is when it pulled me out of the movie, and it does it every time I rewatch the movie. It was no different this time, but I was still able to enjoy the movie the rest of the way. And the fight scenes at the end, pretty rad. Love arms being dismembered. And what I'll say with this, in this shot for the final judgment, Kevin, he's got all 5 of his fingers back on that hand to hold Freddy's head after they got lopped off. So you almost knew right away this is a dream of some sort. And Freddy winking, the ending does make sense. A lot of people groan at it. I'm fine with it. So I'm somewhere in the middle. Kind of depends on my mood when I'm watching the movie. Like, if I'm really like, yeah, let's do a whole rewatch of the whole franchise, I'll just bust right through and be like, okay, whatever. But on a critical note, ending's fine. It just felt like we were trying to go somewhere else at the end. But ultimately, I look at this as they're both in hell. Now they can torture each other for the rest of time until we get to the next movie for each of them, which is, I believe, the remake for both. So the follow through and follow up on this movie is a little on the tragic side in that they decided, let's just reboot both. However, the reboot for Friday is really good. And the reboot for Nightmare is a lot more different choices were made on that one. And Jackie was not the problem with that movie, in my opinion.
Nope, it was the script and trying to turn Freddy into some kind of pedophile kind of
all over again. Yep.
Yep.
So, but if I was going to give this a score, I'd probably go 6. But it's pure enjoyment. That's all it really is. Don't take it too seriously. You'll be fine. But do check out the comic books, even though Bruce doesn't get paid for them. I'm sure you can find places to find them free to read. Just saying. Gonna say something, Kevin?
No, I was just going to say, I agree. Piracy, that's the place.
Sail the 7 seas. All right, well, before we go, Nadia, if you want to let everybody know where they can find you on the tubes, what you got coming up next, and where they can find you on some social medias.
Thank you both for inviting me for this. I was looking forward to this, obviously, because I thought it was last week. Okay. So it was a good time, and I'm excited to come back next week for Jason X. I am over on Horror with Nads. It's my YouTube channel. I cover pretty much anything in the horror genre with some cross pollination with some other genres, but mostly horror. And this week's a little weird with scheduling because I just got back from traveling. Thursday I'll be going live just to catch up on some horror news, and then Friday I cover Stranger Things rewatch. We're doing a rewatch up to the next season, so you can follow me on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, as Newt Nerd Dollface. But yep, Horror with Nads is my primary account on YouTube.
Right on.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
Hey,
I'm on the road to 1K.
Hey, nice. How close are you actually?
Let's see. I can't do math. I'm a girl. Hold on. 71 away. 71 subs away. So
come on, everybody. Let's help Nads get to 1K.
Use those alt accounts, folks. I know you got them. Got them.
Everybody's got at least one alt account.
Yeah.
And Kevin, what about you, brother? What's coming up next?
Next we are doing Jason X. And if we can get to it, if we can get all the way through the rest of these episodes, we're going to do part 1 of season 3 of Friday the 13th, the series, this Friday. I'm on like episode 5, and I think we've got like 6 more episodes to go. And I'm like, can we do this? It's a lot.
Or we'll just cover what we've watched and finish it up on the next one.
Yeah. And then after that, you'll be able to catch us on Saturday night on our live stream, Deadwire Live.
Right on. And come on over, hit the like button down below, share, subscribe this out. We leave the replay up for forever. We'd love to have everybody with us, and make sure you hit the little bell notification. And we do like to include everybody's chats in here, so thank you everybody for participating. But if you're catching on the replay, throw a comment down below. We do read them, we do interact, and we'd love to have you around. So thank you everybody for tuning in. We will see you next time.
For generations.